So I did fix my hair a little bit. Yeah, so I got fired. I started working for the town hall in February of 2024, and I was fired in May of 2024. All I can say about that, because all I know about that is that they decided to go in another direction. I have my thoughts on what that actually means. I did appeal to the Board of Select Women to be reinstated. Had they denied that appeal. Had they approved it, however, I would have denied taking my position back. I wanted to appeal for me, because again, I truly am of the opinion that it was unjust that I was fired. I don't know if my appeal documents are on file. They should be, and I'm guessing that's public record, so if anybody wanted to dive into what was in my appeal, I think it was a 36-page presentation booklet I put together with my my everything, my feelings, which I know, facts, not feelings, but my feelings, facts, and why I thought I was actually being fired. So yes, I got fired. And in the moment, I did cry a little bit. I cried a bit that night. But within a few hours of getting fired, I knew that this was an opportunity. It was either an opportunity for me to crash and burn, or an opportunity for me to spread my wings and fly, right? And yeah, I ended up spreading my wings to their fullest. So I looked for employment following my firing, and that was difficult. A lot had happened within a short amount of time prior to my termination at the town hall. What has not been made public before, I will say now, my mother passed in September of 23. She had a small cell lung cancer that metastasized to her brain, and it was terminal. So I stayed on with my employer that I had prior to the town hall, from the time of my mom's passing until February when I took the position with the town hall. The town hall position was a better one than the one that I was currently in. It was a pay increase, better benefits, opportunity for growth, unlike the position that I was in prior to that. So, I took the position, and well, they offered it to me and I accepted. I didn't take it. And, I was still very much so in the initial grief from my mother's passing. There was a lot of administrative work that was up in the air and pending, and I don't think enough people talk about the admin of death. If you are the executor of a estate, or an executrix in my case, and if you've not had any experience with that before, it can be a little daunting, even for a very simple estate settlement, which was my mother's case. It was a very simple estate settlement. It's a lot of paperwork, even in her case, and you're trying to grieve, you're in the beginning of the grieving process, and you sort of have to pause that to do this administrative work. And in my case, with my mom, her cancer was one that generally tends to be terminal. It's very rare that someone beats small cell lung cancer, and especially once it metastasized to her brain, So even with the knowing and all of the planning, it was still a lot. I was so happy to take that job at the town hall. It was a new start, a fresh beginning, especially in light of how the past, year and a half had gone. And so, yeah, I was so excited to accept the position. I did. And 1 or 2 days before my 90 days was up, which would have then put me into the union, I was terminated. So with that being said, that night, my husband was, where was he? I think maybe he was climbing that night. And so I had a little bit of time to myself in that evening. And I went outside and I took my notebook, and it was a lovely evening. And I just started writing, what does this mean? How am I going to look at this? Is this a roadblock, or is this an opportunity? And it became an opportunity. So I'm going to jump over the boring bits and get to how I landed where I am now. So my father passed in 2012, and when he passed, I found comfort and calm and comfort and calm, I guess, are the best words, in watching YouTube videos on how to do makeup, which may sound crazy to some people, but I never learned how to do my makeup, and I needed something that was distracting. And so I started watching these videos. And so when my mom got sick, I went back to that comfort, that old comfort. And subsequently when she passed, even more so. But instead of watching videos on doing makeup, I was watching ASMR videos on facials and hair washing. And I found so much comfort in that. It didn't prompt me to want to buy anything, which was great, because in 2023, I did a no-buy year, which I'm so very grateful that I did that for so many reasons. One of them being that I did stick with it after my mom passed, and I didn't use shopping as a crutch or a comfort to aid in lessening my grief. So that was a good thing. And also, watching these videos of facials and hair washing, again, it didn't trigger the need to purchase a new eyeshadow or a blush or a lipstick or any of those things, which I did do when I first started watching videos on how to do my makeup, because I didn't have any makeup like what I'm into now. So I was watching these videos, and something just, I don't know, something connected with my soul, more so than on simply an enjoyment of an ASMR level. It was something deeper than that. So last summer, I made the decision to toss the dice and go to school to become an esthetician. I, of course, had a conversation with my husband first and told him that ultimately the decision was his, that, you know, if it wasn't one that he supported, if he didn't believe in the dream that I laid out, the plan that I laid out, the plan of the dream or the dream of the plan that I laid out, then, you know, I wouldn't go. He did believe in me, and he does believe in me, and I'm, you know, I'm all the things. I'm grateful, and I'm blessed, and I'm fortunate, and I'm in love. And for anybody wondering, we've been together for 17 years. So we've been married, not for those full 17 years. We've been married for how many? 13, 10, although this will be our 12th married year. And our 18th year together, and our 12th married year. So yeah, so he believed in me, and so I started going to school in October. October 30th was my first day of aesthetic school, and I am set to graduate on March 20th. And I will be a licensed esthetician, and I have already signed up for a course for oncology aesthetics, as I want one of my 2 specialties to be in oncology aesthetics. I plan on opening a not-for-profit in honor of my mother, where I'll be offering services to those who are in at-home hospice. I was talking to my girlfriend, who's an oncology nurse, who is a nurse and was in oncology for a long time, and she has sat with many people during their passing, and we both agreed that there's just not enough emphasis on how important it is to energetically be able to be there with somebody when they're passing, to not just physically be there, but to really be there with them in the moment, sharing with them, and just loving on them. It's nothing that I ever learned in school, I'm sure. I don't know. Most of you haven't, and until you experience something like that, you don't know how tragically beautiful it is, because it is tragic. You're losing the physical form of your loved one, but how beautiful to be able to accompany someone, especially someone that you love and that loves you, and to be able to be there for them and accompany them in that transition it's a gift. You know, it's a gift that you're giving them, and so I was there with my mom. She was staying at my aunt's house. Her at-home hospice was at her youngest sister's house, my Aunt Betty, who I'm eternally grateful for, and I know my mother is too. So I was with my mom, and my aunt and my husband were there in the house. It was just me and her in the room, and I knew probably about 3 to 5 minutes before she passed that it was happening. Maybe about 3 minutes. Time was weird in those minutes, and is still weird when I look back on it. But yeah, but I knew, and it was just me and her, and I know that that's what she would have wanted, or what she wanted, and as hard as it was, I'm grateful that it was me, that I was there. So, so my not-for-profit in honor of my mother will be, you know, to go to people's homes and give them a modified facial and, you know, maybe hands and hair, and just be with them in that way, sort of as an energy companion. So it's hard to say all that. And it was easy to say all that because it lives in here, but it, you know, saying it to the abyss that is the camera on my phone, knowing that I'm going to post that on the internet for the first time ever, is liberating and scary. So let's bring it back up a little, shall we? So yeah, so I'm going to be an esthetician, and I love it. I love it. I love it so much. When there is a face under these hands, I'm in my glory. I am in my glory. I've always had desk jobs. I've been in dental for about 12 years or so, maybe longer, 14 years, something like that. And, you know, I've always found my way sort of to the top position that I could be in the job that I held, wherever that was, with one or two exceptions. And sitting behind a desk, working for someone else, is just not for me. It's not for me, not at all. I need to be my own boss. There is just so much that I have that I want to pour into my work. And there isn't going to be anyone else that's going to appreciate the amount of heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears that I put into my work other than me and my husband. We're the only ones that'll ever truly appreciate it, because we are us. Everyone else, it's just an employer. As much as employers like to say, oh, we're family, we're not family, though. We're not. You know, at the end of the day, I'm here to do a job, and you're here to pay me to do that job. You can call me family all you want, but we're not family. So I will be my own boss. I plan on opening my own place. Not immediately, because if all goes as planned, I'll be going into school again once I graduate aesthetic school. I will start practicing aesthetics, but I do plan on going for a second license in a different field after this, and I'll share more about that once I know that that it's a definite and not a 99.9%. So yeah, you know, I've had a lot of rough jobs in the past and some really not great employers, and I've toughed a lot of those jobs out, and in the moment, you know, I'm like, ugh, what is this all for? And being where I am right now, I'm grateful for every moment. And I mean that more in just the way of being on the precipice of this new career. You know, every bad experience before, every bad boyfriend or failed love before my husband brought me to my husband, you know, every day of my life, good or bad, brought me to the day that I met him. And every day of work, good or bad, every employer, good or bad, every experience, good or bad, brought me to where I am now. You know, the tragedy of my mother's passing and the tragedy of my father's passing back in 2012. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Those tragedies birthed this beautiful career that I'm about to endeavor on, and I'm just so grateful for that, because the bad can't be for nothing. I've been saying that since my dad died. I said it in his, basically my eulogy that I wrote. You know, the bad can't win. Like, it can't be for nothing. You have to take the good out of the bad. And through these tragedies, beauty was born. And so I'm eternally grateful for that. So what I was going to get back to is that today is February the 10th, the time that I'm recording this, 2025, and my dad passed on February the 10th, 2012. So it's kind of apropos, question mark, right? Apropos, that I'm filming this today. You know, again, that tragic beauty. My dad told me once that he was proud of me. We were at dinner, this place in Terryville. What was it called? Shoot Gates. And how we were sitting across from one another, and he told me he was proud of me. And that was great. My mom often told me she was proud of me. And that was always great. I know they'd be proud right now. Yeah, so that's how I got to where I am now. Condensed version. Reader's Digest version is what my mom would say. So yeah, I got fired from the town hall. Yeah, and ended up an esthetician. How great is that? And so I guess another part of the message, other than taking the good from the bad, is that, like, it's never too late to pivot. I mean, I'm not in my 20s. I am over 40, and I am about to celebrate a birthday in 15 days from today. So it's never too late to pivot. You know that that saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. You know, not everyone can live by that, but if you have an opportunity to do it, I am so grateful and so blessed to be able to embark on this journey and go into this new career where I'm going to be serving others. And I'm not a religious woman. I do have faith in spirituality. I do believe in the universe and in an afterlife of sorts. Yeah, I believe in an afterlife of sorts, like an energetic afterlife. But I am so blessed to be able to serve. I know that comes a lot in, I believe, like Christianity. I might be wrong on that, because that's not my practicing faith. I believe also maybe in Judaism. But yeah, I'm this idea of serving just fills me up. The not-for-profit portion, God, like, I mean, hopefully it all works out and pans out. I'm gonna do everything that I can to, you know, to be able to do it. So I don't see why not, but yeah. So hopefully you guys heard me and the audio is okay on this. I'm not using a mic, it's just the mic from the phone. And, you know, excuse me, I'm a little rusty being behind a camera. And if it's wobbling, I'm obviously filming this on my bed. My husband's in the living room. I wanted, like, you know, to do this privately, just, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully it's all good. And I'm gonna be, so, you know, what can you expect from me moving forward? Everything, you know, everything about my life as an over 40, you know, what I would consider a trad wife. We are dinks. I just learned that term recently. Well, currently we're not dinks. Currently we're sinks. Because I'm not bringing in any income, just my husband. But otherwise, we were previously and will be again sinks. And yeah, so I plan on going over it all, you know, putting some videos up with my facials, gym stuff. I'm a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I'd like to get some of that in. Striking, I'd like to, you know, show some of that. Again, being someone over 40, you know, showing that it can be more than, and this is not a knock, but it can be more than just yoga and Pilates, which I love yoga and I've never been a Pilates practitioner, but I love the idea of Pilates. I would love to go do Pilates. But it can be more than that. So yeah, so jiu-jitsu, striking, I ride a BMX bike. It's gorgeous. I'd like to, you know, show a little bit of that. Day in the life stuff. Q&As with my husband as, you know, the other half of this, you know, his thoughts, what his thoughts were, you know, when I approached this topic to him, how we communicate as a couple who's been together for 17 years and are still madly in love. And, you know, I just told my new manicurist today, nail artist, that, you know, I'm more in love with him now than I was when we met. And like, I don't know, I even still sometimes I'm like, how is that possible? You know, it just, like, I thought I loved him the most that I ever could have loved him before we got married. And then we got engaged and I was like, oh my God, how do I love him more? And then we got married and I was like, oh my God, how do I love him more? You know, and it just keeps happening. But like I said, to Dada today, she's who did my amazing manicure, by the way. You know, you go through experiences with each other, and I think how you handle those experiences, how you see each other handle those experiences, it gives you a newfound respect for one another, which ultimately, you know, in my opinion, can deepen that love, a new view, which can deepen that love, new appreciation, which can deepen that love. So that's a different story for a different day. So yeah, that's some of what you can expect. empties, monthly empties, you know, what's in my skincare closet as an esthetician, or a student esthetician right now, I should say. Makeup collection. I'm embarking on Project 333 by Courtney Carver. I'm doing a modified project right now, but I'm currently reading the book. Like a bookshelf tour. I have, after that, I'm going into what is it? Automatic Habits. Is that what it's called? Automatic Habits. And then I have a couple others that were recommended by Tony Robbins. Yeah, so just me, my life, grocery hauls. I am keto, and like, I was a carnivore. I did carnivore for a year a while back, and I was so successful on that. But I had gained some weight. You know, I stopped going to the gym. I gained some weight after my mom passed, like while she was sick, and then subsequently when she passed. And so I'm working now on, you know, getting that weight off, and a big part of that is my diet. So I'm doing keto right now, and then I think like after my birthday, maybe when spring comes around, I'll go to carnivore. So yes, I can share that and whatever else, you know. So yeah, once my website is up and running, for my aesthetics page, I'll like link all that stuff. I'll link my Instagram for my aesthetics page. There's nothing posted on it yet. I was waiting to make this video. So yeah, I'll link my socials below. I have Instagram and Facebook. That's it. I don't TikTok. A YouTube, obviously. So yeah, I hope that everyone out there is doing the best that they can. And if the days are dark, just remember that the storm always passes. There's always beauty to be found, even in the darkest depths. You know, the, what are they? The phosphorescence, like single-celled organisms in the deepest part of the ocean where there's no light, and they like glow neon. I mean, how beautiful is that? You know, a star to be found on the darkest night. Like, there's always beauty. Sometimes it can be hard to find and hard to see, but it's there. There's always light. You know, and if we didn't have the dark, we wouldn't be as appreciative as we are of the light. And sometimes you do need to dwell in the dark a bit, and that's okay too. You know, I found that for a long time I was fighting my waves of, I'd like to end on this, I was fighting my waves of angst and anxiety and panic and the dark, you know, the getting into the void, and the spiral, right? Spiraling down. I was fighting against it tooth and nail. And the last time I went to my gym and I was at bad class, I felt myself starting to go into that spiral. And instead of fighting against it tooth and nail, like I would, I surrendered. I just gave myself into it, and I was like, you know what? It's gonna spit me out. It's definitely gonna chew me up, but it's gonna spit me out at one point, or at some point. And then what? Like, then I've done it. You know, I've shown it that you can chew me up and spit me out, and I'm still gonna get up, pick myself up off the ground, and move forward. Maybe with a limp, maybe with a busted eye, maybe I'd have to crawl before I limped, but I was gonna get up one way or another, and I did. And that spiral, going through that spiral, was one of the best moments I think I've ever had in my gym. I followed it up with a meeting Jesus moment in the shower that they have there. It's like a rain shower, and just washing away, you know, that much needed fight sweat. Yeah, and connecting with the water. And I'm a Pisces, by the way. It was great. Yeah, it was a real, like, I met Jesus moment. And I'm so grateful for it. So I'll end there. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope I've been in frame this whole time. I hope you can appreciate this gorgeous wallpaper I have back here. Sticky wallpaper, and the raven that holds the light. Yeah, so I don't know what my upload schedule is going to be. I'm in school Tuesday through Saturday, so ideally I'll be filming on Mondays, and then I'm thinking it'll probably take me a couple of days to edit and then post. So maybe I'll post on Thursdays. I'd like to be super ambitious and say that I'll put 2 videos up a week. Like, that is my goal. We'll see. I go to the gym every day. Like, I'm up at 5 a.m. I go to the gym, I go to school, I have a husband. You know, I do the majority of the cooking and the cleaning. So as much as I want to dedicate time to this, and I am dedicating time to this, and I plan on being a regular uploader. I will be a regular uploader. I just don't quite have the kinks ironed out yet, so we'll see. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, stay strong.